It's a Friday. Let's get into the weekend with Pierre, Kyle, and Dan. And Pierre, the dust is settled after Canada's first game, the men's hockey team at the Olympics in Italy. And I still can't find anything wrong with it. Still can't find a single thing wrong with Canada's 5-0 win over Czechia.
Well, they're for real, number one. Number two, their offensive firepower is scary. Number three, if you're trying to drop a game plan, Kyle and Dan, to play against them, the number one thing has to be don't take penalties. That power play, in the history of hockey, I'm not sure we've ever seen a power play as lethal as the one that the Canadian team has right now. And I would just say this, if there's one potential blemish, and it won't be against Czechia, it'll be against whether it's Finland or whether it's Sweden down the road or even the American team, it'll be, can their defense hold up against a pressure forecheck with some bigger people? We'll see about that down the road. But right now, that'd be the only thing where I'd say there might be some cause for concern.
Can we just go back in the Wayback Machine? 87 Canada Cup. Who would have been on that power play for Canada? Was it Gretzky and Lemieux out there together?
Gretzky, Dale, Howard, Chuck, Paul Coffey. That would be four. And then I don't know. But
that's pretty good competition.
Right, and I would just tell you this, like, seriously, we had a pretty good power play in Pittsburgh. Like, we had Paul Coffey, Larry Murphy, Mario Lemieux, Joey Mullen, Kevin Stevens, who was a 50-goal scorer. Our second power play had Ronnie Francis, who's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like, we had pretty good players. I've never seen a power play that gets entry the way this Canadian team gets entry. I've never seen a power play that has as much skill. And the one-time long-range scoring ability of this team is off the charts. It's off the charts.
As a viewer, Pierre, you say the game plan for perhaps the Swiss today would be to take as few penalties as possible. My game plan for them is to take as many penalties as possible because I want to see that unit on the ice as much as possible because I haven't played hockey video games in many years, but watching that unit out there feels very much like a video game.
It's so much fun to watch. I know, Kyle, just to be fair to the viewers out there, Kyle and I were texting yesterday, and this is artistry. It's unbelievable to watch it. It really is how good they are. If you're also drawing up a game plan in all seriousness and you're Switzerland, you got to try to slow the game down. Your goalie needs to know he's got to stop every puck and freeze it, have really good rebound control, and you got to dominate faceoffs. If you're not dominating faceoffs, if you're not controlling rebounds, and you are not controlling the neutral zone against Canada, you have no chance if you're Switzerland. And I was there in 2006 when they got beat 2-0, Paul DiPietro. I called the game. And I was also there in 2010 where it took a Sidney Crosby shootout goal, 3-2 to beat Switzerland, but that cost Marty Brodeur his opportunity to be the goalie for Canada and win the gold medal. Roberto Luongo got the job. So I've seen Switzerland cause problems for Canada in years past. I don't think it'll be this year.
I'd like to just point out that I just received Pierre's cell number yesterday in a text chain, so I can begin texting you during games as well. Hey, Pierre, there's only a limited amount of games in the Olympics, and I actually had a buddy ask me yesterday. So the Team Canada going to rest guys in the next two games? I'm like, there's no resting in the Olympics.
No, there isn't. And if you look at it, most of those guys were playing way less than 20 minutes because they were rolling four lines. They were so comfortable in their own skin. We've already talked about the greatness of the power play. And I think Drew Doughty might have played more minutes than anybody else, and he's on the third defense tandem. So when you look at it, you're like, holy moly, these guys are really good. These guys are really good. And one of the luxuries they have, think about it for 1 second. Bo Horvat's a first-line player, whether he was in Vancouver or the Islanders. He's playing as a fourth-line player. Sam Bennett won the Conn Smythe Trophy last year. He's playing as a 13th forward. Sam Reinhart's a 40 to 50 goal scorer. He's a fourth-line right wing. Mitchell Marner is usually a first-line right winger in the National Hockey League. He's a third-line left winger playing with Crosby and Stone. Like, you keep going down the lineup, you're like, how are we going to stop? If you're a coach, how are we going to stop these guys? Like, it's an abundance of riches. It's crazy.
Pierre, for all the abundance of riches and all the wonderful things we saw on the ice yesterday, one thing stood out to me more than any other, and it's a strange one. But I'm watching the game, and I had to go to Google to get some facts because it looked to me as though Colton Parayko is 7 feet tall and weighs 280 pounds. He is so much bigger than everyone else on the ice. It's insane.
Yeah, he's a legit 6'6". I think I told you this story before. The first time I ever met Colton outside of a hockey rink was the lobby of the St. Paul Hotel in St. Paul, Minnesota. St. Louis was playing Minnesota in a playoff series. And he had these books with him. And I go, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm studying for an exam. I've got an economics exam tomorrow, so I want to be prepared for it. He was sitting in the lobby so he wouldn't disturb his roommate, and he was reading these books. He is legitimately 6'6", and he's probably 235. He's a massive human being.
I was watching Drew Doughty yesterday, and I'm like, he's wearing number 89. Is this a passing of the torch that he gave up number 8?
I think so. I think he's comfortable in his own skin, and I think that's one of the great leadership values of a guy like Drew Doughty. I have so much respect for Drew. First time I ever spent a lot of time with him, World Under 18s, watching him play junior for the Guelph Storm, and then obviously World Juniors, and then the NHL and the Stanley Cup runs in Edmonton, or sorry, in LA, and then the Stanley or the gold medal in 2010 in Vancouver. He's special, and he cares so much about winning. I thought he was fantastic yesterday. I don't know what you guys thought. I thought Drew Doughty was off the charts good. He and Thomas Harley were a great tandem for Team Canada. And like I said before, I think both those guys had the most ice time of any defenders yesterday for Team Canada.
Yeah, that was very interesting too, because he gave up that number to Cale Makar, who, to me, on the defense, like there's in this style of tournament, the exact kind of defender you want moving the puck out of the back end.
Really agree. Again, embarrassing array of riches. Now, the one caveat I had of all this for Canada, let's see what they do against a bigger team that's going to initiate on the forecheck and put a little pressure on them off the rush. The Czechs weren't deep enough. Czechia just doesn't have enough artillery. It was the biggest concern I had going into the tournament for them. But Canada handled the first test. These are all dress rehearsals, but Canada handled it fantastically well. I thought they were great.
We had this discussion in the post game, Pierre, after Canada's first game, and Macklin Celebrini at the age of 19 scoring Canada's first goal in his first Olympics. And I kept talking about this with friends and family, trying to wrap my own head around it, that he would have been a 7-year-old watching Crosby, watching Doughty on the ice in Russia, and now he's playing with them. That it blows my mind.
It really does. Mine as well. And you were the one that made that point yesterday when we were doing that. I thought it was a really valid point. I look at Celebrini, and I know I've shared this publicly in a lot of different forms, but you know, Kyle and Dan, he reminds me of Jonathan Toews from 2010 at the Olympics in Vancouver, except this guy can score more purely than Jonathan. Jonathan played on a checking line with Rick Nash and Mike Richards in that 2010 Olympics. And without that line, I don't think Canada could have won the way they won. But I would tell you this guy, this kid, he's not intimidated playing with Connor McDavid. He's not intimidated playing with Tom Wilson. He just turned 19 years of age. This is an amazing story. He is truly a phenom. And the biggest thing is he's humble as humble can be. He's an amazing Canadian ambassador for the sport. He really is.
Pierre, for a while now, the odds makers have basically been predicting that this tournament would come down to a final between the U.S. and Canada. What were your thoughts on Team USA's performance yesterday?
First 15 minutes, I thought they were mediocre at best. I didn't like their game. I thought they were pretty selfish. They obviously had some bad luck having 2 goals disallowed and then hitting the post on another. So they maybe the score could have been more friendly for them. But one of the things Mike Sullivan did that I thought was really smart, he took JT Miller off a line with Brock Nelson and Jack Hughes, and he decided to put Vinny Trocheck on that line. Made a massive difference. Brock Nelson had a game for the ages with 2 goals. I thought Jack Hughes was off the charts good, and Vinny played great, especially in penalty kill situations. But then to see the 2 Kachuk brothers with Jack Eichel, that raises the game to another level. And the biggest thing is the skill of Tage Thompson on the power play goal and the finishing ability of Austin Matthews on the power play goal to start the third period. If I'm playing against the United States, a lot like Canada, you can't take penalties against them. And what's noticeable is the bigger guys for the Americans, their skill level is excessive. That's what's going to make them hard to play against. They have big men that are really, really skilled.
Back in North America, what are teams doing? I picture them like Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with yarn and pictures, figuring out something that will make it make sense or make it work. Is that what they're doing?
Are you speaking about NHL teams?
Yes.
I think so. I think there are a lot of
They're like, well, if we do this, that's got to work, right?
Yeah, well, I do. I think that's a great question. The teams that are on the bubble. So let's talk about Columbus. Let's talk about Ottawa. Let's talk about Toronto. Teams that are going to be fighting for a playoff spot, they got to be thinking about what are we going to do when the Olympics are over. I really think most of these guys, even though they're probably spending a lot of time watching their East Coast League teams and their American League teams right now, I think a lot of them are trying to figure out what do I have to do to put my team over the top. So I do think there's a lot of conversation going on about that stuff.
And how about the conversations in Toronto that apparently the Toronto Maple Leafs, rumors suggest, would be seeking a first-round pick for Bobby McMahon? Do you think they'll get a feeler? Do you think they'll get a bite on that line?
I think they'll get a bite, but it doesn't always mean you're going to get what you ask for. I think that's kind of what you're doing. You're putting that out there publicly to try to generate interest in the player. I wouldn't be in a rush to trade Bobby unless I got pretty high return because he's a very important player right now for this team. But I also think they know they're devoid of true legitimate star prospects. Bobby was an undrafted player coming out of Colgate University. They've done some fantastic things with him being there. But I think down the road, it might be better for him to be in a different situation. He might be worth something more for the Leafs down the road if they could move him right now.
As for teams and how they're dealing with players, they just give them space, let them breathe.
Yeah, I would hope that they would have had meetings with all these players. At least that's what I would have done before they went away on break and give them their own personal workout programs. I would expect cardio more than anything else and keeping your weight down. But outside of that, I think most guys are really professional right now. But I would say the most, let's say, organized organizations would have had debriefs with players and given them programs before they left to go on the break.
Yeah, you don't send them out without a leash.
No, and for most of the guys, they're pretty good that way. They are. Like, it's changed a lot since I was coaching the league, and we had some guys who are really addicted to the game, but it's changed a lot. It really has.
Would there be like a hard return period for players? Because obviously many of them are going to go somewhere warm and relax on a beach and recharge. But do they obviously the players playing in the Olympics are going to all be back around a certain date? Is that the same date that players that are not in the Olympics are expected to report back? So they're available for team operations?
No, they're going to be back at least 4 or 5 days sooner than that. And I'd say most of them will probably most of them probably took 7 to 10 days off and they're back to their home city and getting ready to go to work. I would say again, these guys are unbelievably professional. I'm blown away when you're around the rinks and you see what these guys do in the summer. I don't know why they'd waste it in the middle of February to, go have an extra beer or whatever. I just don't see that happening.
Pierre, let's go back in the day. So there must have been some guys where you're just like, don't do it. It's All-Star break. Just don't do it.
We had some of those conversations, Dan.
We heard what you're going to do. We heard what you have planned. Can you just not do that?
You would be correct, sir. Oh.
Okay, well, I was just thinking out loud of some people I know that have done those exact same things, and I don't have a single story I could tell in that manner. Pierre, looking ahead, okay, so I want to look. You and I will be going post game after the France game on Sunday. Just to quickly circle back to Canada here, what can actually be taken away from a game against France? Like, that's going to close the group stage for them. The real tests are obviously the first two games, but how does a Team Canada approach a game like the one on Sunday morning against France differently than they do against these obviously much more prominent
You
competition?
said internal goals. So one of the things would be, how many shots do you want to give up? How many penalties do you want to allow? How many hits do you want to see accumulated? What do you want your face-off percentage to be? Set internal goals. It doesn't mean that the defensemen have to worry about face-offs in terms of the win percentage, but they need to know that they got to help the centerman. Don't take a lot of penalties so you don't put duress on your penalty-killing players. Make your power play function whenever you get opportunities. Do the right things when it comes to entries. You can manage that up. You really can as a coaching staff. And I look at that staff. I mean, that's a really, really good with Bruce Cassidy and Rick Talkin and Pete DeBoer. And obviously John Cooper, that's an outstanding staff. So I think they'll internally create some competition to get the players to be focused after the France game. Because after that, you win and you move, you lose and you're out. You're going home.
1 degree of Pierre Maguire. I turn around, point to a hockey card. Pierre tells us his connection to that player. I've never gone upper top right. Who the heck is that? Stu Barnes.
Stu Barnes is a good one. Big fan. his son played in Penticton the year before my son got to Penticton. Stu Barnes was an outstanding player with the Florida Panthers, Dallas Stars. I can't say when I watched him play junior in the Western Hockey League, he blew me away. He's a real gentleman, a very good hockey guy. Was an assistant coach for a while around the Dallas Stars organization. Big fan of Stu Barnes. Really good man. Really good man.
I can't even see what he's wearing. Is he in a Jets uniform? Yeah, he's in a Jets uniform.
Could have been that near the end. Yeah, could have been that. Florida Panthers, though, that was probably his heyday. Florida. I think he was part of that Stanley Cup run in '95 when they
with the Rats.
The Rats.
Thanks, Pierre. We got some breaking Jays news to get to, unless you wanted to stick around.
Hit it out of the park, mon ami. Hit it out of the park. Talk to you guys later. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. That's Pierre McGuire, our hockey insider. He will be with us post-game after every single Team Canada game. So, Kyle, we've got Joey Loperfido is no longer a Toronto Blue Jay as the Jays traded him to the Astros for Jesus Sanchez.
Yeah, I mean, this one isn't going to tick the needle up too high on most people's radars for the Blue Jays in the offseason, but the important thing it's what they seem to be doing is growing very comfortable with building depth with this team, right? They're building backwards from the starting lineup, and it can only serve them well. They got a left-handed bat that apparently, and this is from our from the internet, which everything is true on. No, apparently the Jays have been looking at this guy and have liked his upside for a while. And, they've done well bringing guys into town and refining their games very well. So, if they see an upside here and they think he can replace some of the power they had hoped to receive from Santander, then it's a great move.
Loperfido didn't play enough, and I never thought about it until now. I wonder if he had Flow Riders low, 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 low as his walk-up song, because it would have been perfect.
It would have been absolutely perfect, and we'll never know, but perhaps a fresh beginning for him elsewhere. And that's a great song for the city of Houston, I think.
I'm just checking here. ChatGPT, always reliable. If this is the first Jesus, a.k.a. Jesus, to play for the Toronto Blue Jays. Nope, this is the first one.
First Jesus in Toronto.
First player named Jesus to ever play for the Blue Jays. But ChatGPT, not great with sports stuff.
Well, he hath risen, and that's something the city of Toronto needs. And I just got it confirmed. Our good friend Keegan actually also tweeted that they've been liking this guy for a while. So if Keegan says it, it has to be true, right? I'm sure we'll be talking to him about that in the near future.
And Kyle, I had to leave you with this. I'm dealing with a real problem in this house, and I've openly admitted to every family member, and I've apologized. I can't stop playing Bad Bunny. Like, I'm starting to annoy myself. I'm like, I know I got to hear some more. It is nonstop. I have watched the Super Bowl halftime show minimum 20 times.
Well, I got to tell you something, Dan. In all honesty, you're not actually listening to Bad Bunny until you're dancing to Bad Bunny.
Oh, so I was dancing last night.
Well, you have children that know how to use phones in your house, and I've yet to see a clip of this. So as far as I'm concerned, it hasn't happened. But hey, we do run such clips on the shows, and you've got till Monday to make one. So
all I got to say is it brings me joy. So what's wrong with that, right?
That's how everyone should be focused in life. If it brings you joy, just do it.
That's right, my friend. Have a great weekend.
You too.